Hey, welcome to Right on the Edge. Today I will be reacting to some Asmongold videos. Right on the edge of what you may say? Well, that's for me to know and you to find out one day. Maybe. No, I'm just kidding. I'll share it for you guys later, but it's kind of a play on my name. But for right now, I want to react to Asmongold. I really like his takes on things, and I find him in general to be one of the more intelligent streamers, very rational. He seems to be both more on the left than me, more on the right than me, and in my opinion, that kind of makes him a good person to see when it comes to these sort of things. I mean, I don't know what this video is about, but I can guess kind of from the image that I'm looking at now what it could be about. And yeah, let's get into it. This looks really fun.
What happened here? This is so stupid.
Straight to a Fox News alert, the FBI is ordering a $50,000 reward for information on a masked protester who appeared to fire a gun at federal agents during a major...
The reason why is because the other one was just an interview of two girls talking about some bullshit. I want to watch what actually happened.
California immigrant.
I agree. You know what? It's 20 seconds in. I'm already agreeing because don't you hate it when the news does that? When there's something that's actually like sensational, like news, like what this headline is, and then they just have like somebody spurging out on the news thing. They do it all the fucking time. But anyway, sorry. Let's continue.
Immigration raid yesterday.
Doug Luzader joins us now with the very latest. Good morning, Doug.
Hey, good morning, guys. Another rough day for federal immigration agents in California after facing off with violent protesters yesterday. Dozens of people were taken into custody during immigration sweeps at two farming sites,
You can see
including
they
a
got 'em.
marijuana facility. Tear gas, smoke bombs deployed. Agents were pelted with rocks, and federal authorities.
They gotta start shooting them, bro. They do. Like,
I don't know if I fully agree with like shooting them, but some of these people really need to be held accountable. The longer it goes, where certain elements of our society, especially here in America, aren't held accountable, the more crazy and intense people get. We have laws, we have to enforce them. It's what keeps us going. You know what I mean? Like it's just what keeps us going.
if you throw a rock at a police officer, that can kill you.
Didn't realize he was gonna drop that ball right afterwards. Yeah. People don't realize that. Oh, it's just a small rock. If that hits in the wrong place, that's a dead person. Same with like a fist fight, and stuff like that. People don't realize fist fights are deadly all the time because people don't realize, all it takes is one hit in a certain area, and then boom, goodbye, hello, afterlife. You know what I mean?
This is crazy that they let that. This is the reason why California is a shithole. Is because you have people that think that they can throw a rock at a police officer.
I think Asmongold's in a different tax bracket than I am, very clearly. I think there's lots of reasons California is a shithole, and one of those reasons is last time I was driving through was like $5 to $7 gas, depending on where you're at, and that was rough. That was that was rough.
A police officer is a civilian, and a civilian has a right to self-defense. A rock is a lethal weapon, and I think if a police officer is hit with a rock, they should be able to respond to lethal force with lethal force. Straight up.
Love it, based. Like that's the truest shit I've ever heard, and I think that's true in every instance almost that I've ever seen of it. If we're not allowed to defend ourselves in everyday society, then what happens is the criminal element of society tends to take over.
Needs to stop. It could kill them? Yes, it does. It needs to stop. Bootlicker take? It's not a bootlicker take. Do you really think somebody should be able to throw rocks at a person? It's crazy.
Are now on the lookout for a suspect who appeared to fire a gun at them. And now this from the U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California, who posted on X. The FBI has issued a $50,000 award for information leading to the conviction of an unknown subject who appeared to fire a pistol at federal law enforcement
It's
officers
crazy.
near Camarillo. And here is another shocking detail. According to Customs and Border Protection, 8 unaccompanied minors, all here illegally, were found.
So there were 8 kids that were found working on a cannabis farm during the immigration raid.
8 children, man. Child labor. Yeah. You know what? As much as we should persecute like people who aren't here legally, and for good reason, right? You have to have a country and whatnot. The jobs that are hiring them should also be held accountable. Sorry. Ew. I actually hit the mute button. The people hiring them should also be held accountable. Like, I think that's a little bit harder of an ask, but if they had no incentive to be here, they wouldn't be here, right? People are exploiting them for cheap labor. It's no different. It's actual like slave. It's really close to slave labor. I'm just gonna put it like that.
And all of the protesters were trying to protect the illegal migrant slave child labor. Oh, wow. Ain't that something? That's crazy. Who would do that? Police officers aren't civilians? Let me search that up on Grok. I'm going to look it up myself. Actually, I'll just look it up on Google. Police officers are generally not considered civilians in the context of law enforcement. While they're not members of the military, they're sworn law enforcement personnel. Okay, so you're right. That's actually, okay, so broadest sense civilian is not a member of the military. Okay.
That's new information. I did not know that. I guess it makes sense, like in the context of their job, they wouldn't be, but outside their job, are they? I would hope so. I would hope so. For police officers, anyway. I guess military members are military members all the time. You know what? I'm gonna watch like 3 or 4 minutes, and then I feel like there's a lot to talk about here.
Within the context of law enforcement, civilian also refers to people who work within law enforcement, sworn officers versus civilians. So it's a gray area. So, okay, that's fine. They're citizens, not civilians. Okay, so no, you guys are right. I won't say that again, or at least I'll try not to. It seems like that's an inaccurate way of explaining things. They're not civilians, yes, but they are citizens, and citizens do have the right to self-defense.
There is now an investigation underway for possible child labor violations.
I like how you phrase that. They're not civilians, but they are citizens, and citizens should have the right to self-defense. That's a W take. That's a W take.
They say all of this as we await a decision from a federal judge in California who seems inclined now to severely limit immigration enforcement efforts by the Trump administration. This Biden appointee indicating that she may issue a temporary restraining order today, essentially siding with litigants who argue that ICE agents are violating constitutional rights. So far, she says she has only reached a tentative decision, writing, "It is truly a tentative. It is not final. My intention..."
I disagree with shooting people who throw rocks at police. There's a scale of lethality of weapons to rocks. While they can be deadly or nowhere near as deadly as guns, they should be arrested for assault, but I don't believe they should be shot on sight. If someone shot you with a gun while you were wearing a bulletproof vest, do you think that they should be able to shoot you back?
100% they should. Yeah, that's not even a doubt. 100% you should.
Because you're not wearing a bulletproof vest? Because, like, if you, like, the police officers are wearing bulletproof vests, which makes the lethality of bullets less common and less likely that they will, that they'll get hit by them or killed by them. If someone.
But you know what, though? I think that Chatter has I think this is a good faith take. I think it's a good faith take.
Someone shoots at you, you should be able to shoot them back, yes? But why? Why should you be able to shoot them back if they shoot at you? Self-defense? Well, no. We'll look and listen. We'll let this person explain themselves. It's proportional force, but it's not proportional. Because the police have stronger guns, they have better armor, and the person that they're shooting at doesn't have a body armor on, and they don't have those guns. There's absolutely not equal force at all there. It's not even remotely close. The police have a massive asymmetrical advantage, even when it's gun versus gun. Why do we have to pretend that people who are here illegally have any rights or constitutional protection? Look, I don't think they should. I think we should just get them out.
I think the right to due process is something that sets us apart from other countries, and it would be too much of a slippery slope to not allow that. I don't agree with the other part of that, but yeah, no, that's interesting, man. That's an interesting one.
Because guns kill people way more often than rocks do. How many deaths per year happen due to rocks versus guns? Well, how many deaths happen when somebody hits somebody in
Are we counting? This is wild. Are we counting the rocks that people hit when they fall down accidentally? Or are we just taking thrown rocks into account? That's a hard one. I mean, rocks kill people a lot. But, yeah, if you get too much in the weeds on this, I feel like it devolves into nonsense.
with a rock versus a gun? Right? I mean, like, you're really comparing the two things. Like, it's like how many people steal horses versus steal cars. Well, how many horses are there? How many cars are there? People aren't throwing as many rocks. So the reality is that this point's irrelevant. Once you initiate violence of no kind, you have no right to determine what the right response is. Yeah, exactly. And Goliath, yeah, literally one of the most.
That's a W chatter. That's a W chatter take, man. That's crazy that the chatter. He outdid me, man. There's smarter people than me out there, all over the place.
Famous stories in all of human history is how a rock killed a guy by hitting him in the head with David and Goliath. The idea that rocks are not lethal force is a complete lie, and one of the, again, most told and most understood stories in the entire history of mankind is about how a rock killed someone.
I will say this. In defense of that, man, you know, they think of a sling as some crazy thing. I've seen actually sling throwers. They can throw those rocks up to like 40, 50 miles per hour. I mean, probably way more than that, actually. It's like getting hit with a gun. Sling's a badass weapon. Look up a video if you haven't seen one. That's crazy shit. But in general, I agree with this take. In general, I agree with this take.
There is no defense that is justifiable that says that shooting somebody after throwing a rock at them is not totally fair. If someone came to your house and started throwing rocks at you and you shot them, I would want you to not go to jail. I think that's self-defense.
Coming into this hearing, given the urgency and the weight of the matters at issue, is to issue my ruling tomorrow. But she has also said that she does not want to burden what she calls lawful law enforcement activities. And again, that decision should come down later today.
I think that's a reasonable take.
Thanks, Doug.
They used to stone people to death.
You know, this is also strange, and maybe the strangest part of that ruling right there is the idea that when did federal judges begin giving alerts to how they're going to rule tomorrow, which at some point it starts to make you think that it's all kind of a coordinated effort to give people time to the ACLU to have a press conference, for example.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. You know, if this judge does go forward and issues this temporary restraining order, this is the equivalent of a judge making a ruling that the DEA can't go search individuals for drugs and narcotics on Skid Row in L.A. It makes no sense. They're carrying out federal immigration law. And one of the groups in this lawsuit, CHIRLA, the Coalition for Immigration Rights LA, is been tied to the Alvarado, Texas attack that, where the 10 individuals, and we're going to talk more about that a little bit later. But, connect these dots, and you see what is literally a federal judge now stepping in to say that the federal government can't carry out its duty for federal immigration law.
I think the overstep of local judiciary and these judges is a little bit, they're overplaying their hands, and I worry about the ramifications of this because it's going to offset the balance in some way, and I feel like the proportional response to this is going to be proportional in a very American way, which is, of course, completely unproportional.
Yeah, they obviously can. I mean, the federal government overrules the state government. We fought a whole war over that. It's pretty obvious. Per California law, if your house is broken into and you're at home, it's suggested to try and escape. Confrontation with a gun will put the homeowner in jail. Well, I don't know whether that's true or not, but this is what I think you should be able to do. If somebody breaks into your house, you should be able to kill them with no restrictions. Period. That's it.
I agree. I agree, because if you can't do that, I mean, essentially what the law would be saying at that point is that you have to flee your own house, like fuck your family and everything, and your rights. It's just the way it has to be. And whether you are like a gun advocate or not a gun advocate, you have to realize how ridiculous it would be if somebody broke into your house and you couldn't beat them up, right? Yeah, I have people I care about here. You know what I mean? I have people I care about.
So whatever that law is, that's what I support. Whether with with a knife, a baseball bat, a gun, a saw, whatever you want to use.
Yeah, bro, whatever. You know what? I agree, dude. A fork, a spatula, man, your rusty spoon, dude, whatever it takes. Get them the fuck out of there. Man, it's part of my life. But yeah, fucking right. Yeah, the castle doctrine, you know, he has chatters over here talking about stand your ground law. Yeah, but you can't do it in places like New Jersey and stuff like that. You know, like New Jersey has they don't have stand your ground laws. They got rid of them. So you literally have to run away in places like that. I mean, that's terrifying.
If you break into somebody's house, you should know that your life is on the line, even if they try to run away.
The judges are the new face.
You know what? Yeah, even if they try to run away. Yeah, fuck that, dude. They did it once, bro. What are you gonna do? Hit you again? I mean, if you don't, you know, it's crazy, man. You're just asking for the next person along to get hurt. Like, that's what it is, right? You take care of them. Like, we used to care about the community, right? Somebody broke into our neighbor's house, right? Your neighbor would shoot them. I feel like we've lost that a lot.
Of the resistance for the liberal left. And when they started doing it, Charlie, was when President Trump won office. They did it during his first term with all these nationwide injunctions that were issued. Now they're doing it again during his second term.
What if they're teenagers? Well, then it sounds like they'll never be adults. Parents should have raised them better. Don't care.
But we need to be honest about what Democrats are doing. Their desire is to protect.
Most violent crime is done by young males, like most violent crime. And that's just that's a hard one to talk about, you know, but he's right. You have to take the emotion out of it and logically, like, what makes the most sense, you know. And it's also a deterrent. If these young kids knew that they might be shot for trying this stuff, they do it a lot less.
Criminals. Yeah. You look at the deportations of these illegal aliens that have taken place under President Trump. 70% have been criminals or individuals pending charges. These aren't moms and kids that the Trump administration are trying to deport.
Yeah.
They're illegal aliens. They're gang members. They're terrorists as well. And you talked about the Alvarado attack.
I hate generalizations like this, but with the amount of people that have been arrested that fit that box, I don't think it's unfair to say this. Like, and that not all should be implied. I don't think we should have to curtail our language for this stuff, but it makes me feel bad to phrase it like that because I do know a lot of good immigrants. I mean, a lot.
The ambush against the ICE agents there, they were outfitted in.
And I hate how immigrants have been conflated with illegal immigrants as if they're the same thing. You know, they're not. One person came here like through the proper channels and the other person didn't.
Black military-style clothing, 12 sets of body armor, 14 guns, fireworks, spray paint, two-way radios, and anti-government propaganda. What do you think that sounds like they're preparing for?
Well, look at the video just from last night, from yesterday in Camarillo, Texas. It's unbelievable. The one news agency caught on camera what appeared to be, and you can see the protesters.
Yeah, I was driving through Amarillo while this was happening. Oh shit, never mind. Oh, never mind. I thought I wasn't, nope, never mind. There's a different ICE thing happening in Amarillo, Texas that I was driving through. Not Camarillo, California. Never mind, cancel that. Yeah, my bad.
They gotta do something about this. Because I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. The more that people are able to do this, the more people will do this. You have to,
Exactly, bro. You have to crack down on this. It's undeniable science. You know, have you ever played a game that has like a Wild West feel, like, you know, like, or it's some sandbox survival game, bro? People are wild animals. They go back to their roots, and that's just in a game where you know it's fake, but people do that in real life. It's the psychology of it.
Have to hold these people accountable. You do. You have to do it. What's next? The bombing? Yeah, and you see now, like, you're starting to see more and more people. It's almost every day now that we're hearing about a shooting with these ICE interactions. And I want to rewind 3 months ago to 4 months ago, whenever this started happening and it started heating up, and I said, this is what's going to happen, is you're going to have more shootings, you're going to have more confrontations, etc. It's only going to get worse, exactly. And so you can't have delinquents throwing rocks. Yes, they're going to escalate. I said it was going to happen, and there it is. Stop calling them protesters. They're rioters.
You know what's crazy? He's right. He has been saying this for a long time. He's been saying that this was going to happen. And I know because I've been watching Asmondgold. Yeah, since he was much stupider. Let's just put it that way. Actually, he's probably the same level of smart, but he acted a bunch stupider. But yeah, no, this is right, dude. The more you let people while out, the more it happens. The more the laws are enforced, the more people say, hey, fuck it. If it's not being enforced for them, like, it's not even being enforced for me.
They're just criminals, right? I mean, that's it. And yeah, peaceful shootings. Is it true most of the shootings and violence happen in California? Well, I don't know. I mean,
I don't think so, but I don't have the accurate data on that. But I imagine it's not just California. It's probably like the major cities is where it's most condensed. So anywhere of a massive population size, you know, you get more violence in general. And that's just, you know, that's just a numbers game, right? If there's 23 million people in a city, odds are that city's gonna have more violence than, you know, a town with 10,000 and 20,000. You know, that's just how it is, right? And it's going to be more condensed in the impoverished areas because of a lot of things, lack of education, resources, you know, lack of good family like values. It's not like those things don't exist there. It's just it's more often that somebody's on the streets and they're raised to be on the streets by a parent who was also on the streets.
The thing is with California is that it's also it's the biggest state, it has the highest population in the state. And so because it has such a high population, then obviously you're going to have a lot of incidents happening there, like logically.
Federal immigration vehicles with rocks, that is assaulting. That is textbook assaulting federal immigration, trying to deal with illegal aliens, 10 of which are minors. Now we're talking about child labor violations.
Yeah, they need to go after these people. They got to go after these people. They got to hold them accountable. And I think these people need to protect themselves. Like, really, I mean, like, you're throwing rocks on people. Like, this is, again, run them over. I mean, if they ran them over, I wouldn't care. I mean, if somebody, here's the thing, right? If somebody gets in...
I'm not saying I would care either, but, you know, running them over, the cops do it. How many people are going to be like, well, I can do it, and then you have to have some jackass that's like, does it to innocent people who aren't doing anything. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many slippery slopes here, but in general, I agree.
In front of your vehicle and starts throwing rocks at you, I think that you should be able to run them over. Absolutely. Why not use rubber bullets? Because they're not using rubber rocks as a deterrent. Death is a better deterrent than a bruise. That's the reason why.
That's so true.
At this pot farm out in Camarillo, look at him just pounding that. And then the one news organization capturing video of what appeared to be an individual firing a pistol at ICE, at federal law enforcement.
This was gonna happen.
Got a full-ass gun, man. Yeah, the escalation, bro. It happens.
And that, those are fireworks, by the way. This has gotten out of hand. This is a point that when you see this sort of response, and again, remember, this is a warrant that was being carried out. The federal immigration authorities got word that there were these two farms, one of them a marijuana farm, that was employing illegal aliens. They went in to carry out federal law enforcement. And
I have to say, this is like an unproportional response too, so I'd be wondering if that marijuana farm is doing other shady things as well. Like, just the response to this in general makes me suspect that they're doing more than just employing illegal immigrants. You know what I mean? Like, that's wild. But I suppose with the app and everything, it's possible these guys just showed up because they're idiots.
Round people up in it, they found out that there were these 10 unaccompanied, 10 underage minors, 8 of which were unaccompanied minors.
Which is kind of interesting. And then
So they're literally defending child labor.
to have a federal judge then say that
Why do so many people in your chat feel like arguing that Iraq isn't a deadly weapon? It absolutely is. Because they disagree with ICE, and so
I'm gonna give a little pushback. Yeah, they do disagree with ICE. However, a lot of people aren't educated in what is and isn't a deadly weapon because they've never been in a situation where they've seen in reality that a deadly weapon's being used. You know, I think it's as simple as that. We live very safe lives, even though like they show violence on TV all the time. In general, life in America is very safe.
they're not really like, so if it was ICE throwing a rock at a random illegal alien, they would say that that ICE officer should go to jail instantly. It's not about the action, it's about who's doing it. There's no actual principle in this argument at all. There's no logic in why it's okay or not. It's just simply, it's okay because it's my side that's doing it. And so I'm going to work backwards to justify why it's okay.
I think people do this in everyday life. I think he has a good point here, too. I think it's part my point and part his point. I think it goes both ways. I think there's ignorance involved overall, but he's very right here. I've seen so many people defend their side, even when they're like, you know, they'll be 10 toes down in that bitch for what? For, you know, something they would know is wrong if someone else was doing it.
They're doing it. It's not about if a rock is lethal or not. It's about how much more lethal a gun is compared to a rock. Okay, then don't use a rock. If somebody pulls out a knife out on you, do you think you should have the right to shoot them? Of course. This logic is, again, if you apply this logic in any other situation, it immediately falls apart. It's retarded. There's literally no defending throwing rocks at people.
Rounding people up because they're brown or because of the color of their skin or because of the way, because of the language they speak. No.
Bro, this guy failed so much at saying that, they almost sounded like a racist. Like, you know? Like, just stop playing their game, bro. Like, we all know it's not color of their skin. Like, we all know it. Like, they're just doing their job. Like, 90% of people know it. Man, I would say racism is at its lowest it's ever been, but it actually has gone up due to bullshit like this. You know, let's just say late 90s, early 2000s, I think racism was like at its lowest ever. And all this bullshit has led to a rise in racism like we've never seen. I think this type of shit makes the KKK happy. Or skinheads, or whoever the fuck group it is, some biker game somewhere. Yeah, you know, like fuck them, man. Like, fuck those people. Like, we know what this is, you know?
The whole point of a warrant is that you're not doing those things, that you're doing it with actual cause for. And of course, we've been talking about this all week with all of this crazy stuff going on, that at some point, somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And then you have video of a protester firing a gun.
Exactly. Well, that's what the borders are. You know, Tom Homan has been saying. He's saying, look, this is going to end with someone dying. This is going to end with ICE agents dying. And then what are Democrats doing? You only have Senator Fetterman who is saying, look, this is wrong. We should be calling this out. We should.
I wish so much that this wasn't a political issue. Like, we should call out violence in all its forms, no matter who's doing it, for what reason. You know? Like with the exception of dangerous situations and self-defense, we shouldn't even need to talk about this, right? It shouldn't even there shouldn't be a D or an R next to it or an I or whatever fucking party you agree with. It should just be in general, like, understood. We should be together in this, and it actually makes me so sad that there's a disjoint in reality when it comes to things like this.
Be saying that this is disgusting. No other Democrats are doing that, but what are they doing?
Yeah, that's actually a huge W from him. I'll see if are they going to show the clip of him saying that? No, they're not. I'll play the clip and talk and show this.
Hundreds and hundreds of.
I'm glad that he's bringing this up to show this, because this is 100% a win for this guy. Like, this is so good.
Thousands of migrants here illegally that have convicted of crimes, and I don't know why. Who wants to defend that, to allow them to remain in our nation? That, and now if you're here illegally and you're committing crimes and those things, I don't know why anybody thinks that it's controversial that they all need to go.
Do you think that it's that simple? Yeah, huge W for that guy. I love him. I think he's great.
He's rational. I mean, yeah, like, it's just logical, man. Like, you can have all the empathy in the world for somebody wanting to come here for a better life and still acknowledge the fact that there's people taking advantage of that empathy. They're weaponizing it.
The stroke fixed him? I don't know how that happens.
Senators like Cory Booker.
How is a Democrat with brain damage the most sane one? Well, the last guy that had 3 brain surgeries was the president.
They're trying to remove the masks of.
That's funny as hell, brother. I can't tell if he was being serious or if that's just some low-key humor, man, but that made me laugh. It shouldn't have, but did.
ICE agents, which further puts their lives at danger at a time when assaults are up by 700% on ICE agents, Griff?
Yeah, and Charlie, I think you really hit the nail on the head. And that is, imagine the week. Let me show you. The week we've had in just the first 10 days of July, an unprecedented number of attacks on ICE and federal law enforcement. Let's start.
I'm going to say it before Asmondgold says it. I am not shocked at this. I'm not shocked at this. The lack of enforcement and the lack of accountability for this behavior has allowed this to go on. I am not shocked at all that it's been on the rise and rising.
On July 1st in Buffalo, an individual named Matthew White posts on X, "Kill them all. The ICE is the new Gestapo. Stop them." He is facing federal charges for threatening ICE agents.
God.
Let's go to 4th of July, the Alvarado assault that we were talking.
Can you imagine, bro? They conflate that shit with the craziest stuff, man. The craziest shit. It's like they conflate everybody's Hitler, everybody's conflating everybody, blah blah blah. And I'm like, bro, do you know how bad it would be if it was like a genuine Hitler, man? Like, come on, let's come back here to reality. But that's funny. It's so funny.
Talking about, Lisa was pointing out, they had AR-style rifles, they had body armor, they had two-way radios, they had Faraday bags that was trying to conceal cell phone, coordinated
Faraday bags are things that block radio signals, by the way.
That is
and premeditated
insane.
attack. And of
That
the
is
10
so
individuals
wild.
now facing first-degree attempted murder of federal immigration officers, there is an 11th individual, Benjamin Song, on the run, allegedly provided those weapons to the 10 protesters. Then let's go down to McAllen, Texas. An absolute barrage of bullets from an assailant on a Border Patrol annex facility in McAllen, Texas, that housed the Special Operations Division of Border Patrol.
It's crazy how I literally just kept telling people this shit was going to happen. I kept saying this. Everybody said it's not going to happen.
When I first mentioned something like this would happen, it probably was like 10 or so years ago. Obviously, I didn't have a channel at the time because I didn't want to take the risk on it. But now I'm like, well, what's the point of not doing it or not trying? You know what I mean? But yeah, I remember 10 years ago thinking like, wow, this is going to get wild. It's just a matter of time.
It's so frustrating, man.
that individual deceased, but it's causing all BP facilities in Texas to get heightened security. Let's go to Tuesday, July 8th, the next day. That's when, as you're mentioning, Lisa, the Democrats, led by Cory Booker and Senator Padilla, wanting to unmask agents, while the agents, ICE, federal law enforcement, has said that they are wearing identification of ICE and HSI on them, but they're covering their faces because there are individuals trying to publicly dox these agents, putting them, their families, their spouses, their children at heightened risk.
And about this, I know a lot of people don't like this behavior, but as long as behavior of doxing them and threatening these people's lives is credible, then I think they should absolutely keep wearing masks to protect themselves. It's unbelievably unhinged what some people are willing to do.
Same day, you've got...
That's absolutely why it's happening, by the way, is that the reason why they want the agents to reveal their faces is so they can dox them. In my opinion...
I think it's worse than doxing. I legitimately think that a lot of people want to end these people's lives.
And I think that if the agents have to reveal their faces, go ahead. But we have to look at what doxing, like why somebody is revealing this person's personal information.
Yeah, exactly. Why would they do it? Yeah, it's nefarious. They're revealing the information so that harm of some nature can come onto that person. It's the only way. It's the only reason. Otherwise, they would not care. It's not about holding them accountable because they're not releasing the information to proper channels to get punishment for, breaking laws or anything. So why would it be? There's only one answer. They want something bad to happen to these people. And, my heart goes out to these ICE agents and stuff like that. They're just doing their jobs, and they get treated like this. And I've seen all these crazy news stories about people like, oh, let's just defend a rapist, ha 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 ha, and shit like that. And they have no idea, like, what sort of monster they're defending, or they just don't care. Man, I'm leaning towards the second one.
What is the reason for doing that? And the reason for doing that is to put their life in danger. And so I think really, if you want to go after that...
I knew he was going to say that shit. I knew it. I fucking called it. That's why I paused so fast. I was like, I have to get this out before he says it. But, yep.
That's fine, but you've got to go ahead and hold those people accountable, too. The FBI needs to investigate them? Yeah, of course. Gangs will send their shooters? Yeah, sure.
4 arrested out in Van Nuys, California, for placing...
I think some gangs would. Some gangs would send shooters and stuff, but for the most part, I think the gang is trying to... for the most part, these gangs are trying to do as much nefarious goods as they can with the least amount of attention drawn on them as they can. So in some cases, escalation, they might choose that, but I think in most cases, that's not the gangs doing that. W gangs, I guess, but because they don't want to draw more attention to them in most cases. Not that they don't have wild members. Just think if you're the boss of one of these gangs, right? Like MS-13 or any of these things. It's like, well, if you keep getting more and more heat because your gang members keep going off the handle and shooting people, well, your money's going to go down because the response of law enforcement is going to escalate as well. Like, you think, do you think that these cops are just going like, oh yeah, we got shot, whatever, blah, blah, blah. No, they're going to go out and they're also going to go to more extremes,
Allegedly tire spikes in the road, puncturing the holes of ICE vehicles, trying to stop that raid. By the way, that raid, a legal raid being carried out.
Look at this guy, bro. You can almost see they poked around and now they found out, boys. You can almost see it coming. I don't know what he's going to say, but I agree. Fuck him.
By warrant. And the same day, you've got up in San Francisco, agitators confronting ICE outside of immigration court. We have seen that in sanctuary cities like San Francisco, where the authorities will not turn over criminal, illegal aliens that have deportation.
Don't you think that's crazy that a city can just override the law, like federal law? I live in the Seattle area, and it always amazes me that the city can just be like, well, we're not going to help you, and we'll actively try to not help you. Excuse me? Like, come on, man. What the hell?
Orders. They just turn them loose on the streets. ICE trying to pick them up, but they're getting resistance and being assaulted there. And then finally, as we've been talking about in Camarillo, California, the unbelievable, there's a $50,000 reward. The U.S. attorney out there, Bill Isla.
Who thinks this is going to be the end of the line? Really, this is just going to keep getting worse. It's going to keep getting worse.
I was thinking the same thing. It's going to keep getting worse until people are held accountable. I don't think this is the end of the line. I'm surprised that these are probably just all the main ones. I think the actual list of these that we don't know about is much higher. Much higher.
Until the police and the federal government grows a fucking spine and they actually hold these people accountable directly.
That's right.
And they respond to lethal force with lethal force. That will make it stop instantly. I guarantee you.
They saying that they want to.
I don't think instantly at this point because it's been allowed to happen too long, but it will make it stop much faster than if they continue to do nothing.
Capture that individual that appeared to fire a weapon, fire a pistol at ICE agents who were carrying out a lawful warrant. This is the first 10 days of July. If we stay on this trajectory, Lisa, that's why.
They're worried about how to look. I think that's right.
I think so
they're afraid of the optics of it. But I think that they're afraid.
I also think that it's less of a department fear and more of an individual officer fear. You know, imagine if your whole family life is gonna be fucked because you were doing your job. Absolutely crazy, man. I feel so bad, dude. I keep pausing on Asmondgold the most fucked up phrase, but I kind of like that one, bro. He looks, got a mid breath where it looks like his mustache needs grooming on the left side there.
Afraid of the optics of it, but I think that they're misreading the optics.
Yeah.
I think that if they shot these people that are firing guns and throwing rocks at them, I think a lot of people in the country would.
They'd at least have about 80 million people being like, fuck yeah, brother. About time.
Be happy. I certainly would be. I know a lot of people would be. This is violent, lawless behavior, and it's aggressive assault on a police officer. I don't want these fucking animals running wild in society. We don't have to live like this. And there's no reason to. Civil war? It's not a civil war. You're acting like this is a 50-50 issue. It's not. There's like, you think there's a big percentage of people?
People forget that even though a lot of liberal people voted against Trump, they think that most of these people are irrational because of everything they see on social media. But that's not the representation. That's not good representation. It's just not. It's not representation of reality. Like, I live in the Seattle area. I see people every day. They're like, yeah, I don't like Trump, but also, you know, at least he's doing a good job on the border. You know, I see that all the time.
People that think that they want to throw rocks at police officers? No way. We also don't have any, want to have to rely on an authoritarian state? Exactly. They'll be called fascists for shooting back. Then again, they get called that anyway. Exactly. They're being called the fascist Gestapo anyway. You're not going to lose anything by actually responding to these people. The only thing that they're losing right now is respect from the people that support them because they're not doing what they need to do in order to enforce the law.
Homan is saying that he is, and we're going to talk to
make it worse and create more radicals? Then shoot them too. If anybody is going out, the solution to, so what's
people under and overestimate how many radicals there are, you know? Like, it's a small number in proportion to the law-abiding citizens of the country, to rational everyday people just trying to get a hold, like, through their life. But it's also a massive percentage. You have to think, like, you know, like most, like the Revolutionary War, for instance, was fought by less than like 5% of the population of the time. You know, 5%. So people are like, oh, it's only like 8-10%. Like, well, that's a massive amount of disturbance on an everyday level. But because it has such a small number, people underestimate how much damage they can do and overestimate like how popular the idea is.
Your logic. Oh, I guess we can't I guess we can't make the law and apply the law because people might get mad about it. What are you thinking? Stop pussyfooting. Why are we pussyfooting around with violent people, violent extremists that are trying to assault police officers? This is crazy. It's unbelievable.
And the more this happens, you know, the worse the police will get. You know? Have you ever dealt with a police officer in like a small town that's like in general peaceful? They're very nice people, right? Because they don't have to deal with all the bullshit. If they have a peaceful, squishy job, you deal with a cop in like Chicago, bro. That dude might give you the finger and send you to jail just for looking at him funny.
You won't stop these aggressions unless you justify it in ways they can understand it. Because if you use lethal force, they'll call for martyrdom.
You have to have you have to be a martyr, man. You actually have to have people, like a lot of people that support you.
A lot like, do you remember what happened with Iran? They were fine with martyrdom until they had to actually have it happen. That's the thing. Everybody is
That's funny.
willing to be a martyr until the person in front of them gets martyred.
Him in just a little bit. You know, yesterday on this couch, we asked Secretary Kristi Noem, DHS Secretary, I said, are you worried that you're going to attend the funeral of one of your agents? And she said she thinks.
I would 100% be worried. Not just agents, but, you know, you have to think these people are friends. They've worked together. Their families know each other, man. Like, it's going to happen. If it hasn't already happened, it's going to happen.
About it every day.
I mean, it's just disgusting. And again, you're going to want to tune in for Tom Homan at 6:30 a.m. here.
A Fox News alert. Chaos in California. Federal agents deploying tear gas while protesters hurl rocks during an ICE raid at a marijuana farm allegedly staffed by illegal immigrants. The scene escalating when a protester seen here appears to fire a gun at the feds. The FBI now offering a $50,000 reward for info.
Man, I wish I knew, bro. 50,000, easiest, most guilt-free money I've ever made. You know, so if somehow one of his people see this video, which isn't likely, but if somehow that happens, just think, he deserved it, didn't he? Didn't he? Come on, 50 grand, dude. That's a few months' bills. Or oh shit, in California. Yeah, no, it's still a few months' bills. Or what am I talking about?
On the suspect. All of this comes as we await a ruling by a Biden-appointed federal judge who's expected to curb all federal immigration operations in Southern California. Border.
That's wild. That's just wild. They can like tank the nation's laws as a judge of a state. I guess it is a federal judge of a state, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I think that's. Whatever, bro. And dude, it's always the flags, man. Like, you know, if they want to stay here so bad, why are they racing those flags? You know, if I wanted to stay in a country really bad, let's say, like, I went over there, like, Ireland, Japan, Dubai, or something. Dubai is not even a country. You know what I'm saying, right? I wanted to stay there, and I was there because I hopped the border somehow. You know, I took a boat ride. I would be like, no, man, I love you guys. Dude, I'd have their flag tattooed on my ass cheek or something.
Our Tom Homan joining us now. Tom, I watched that video.
And that has nothing to do with, like, you know, I fully support them showing pride for where they came from and everything. It's just the nature of the protest with the context of the flag is where it's messed up. Now, if they wanted to fly outside and be like, yeah, I came here, you know, my mechanic came here from Jalisco. He's a great freaking guy. He's absolutely fantastic. One of the best people I've ever known. And yeah, he flies an American flag right outside his house. You know what I mean?
At Camarillo, California yesterday and was just mortified. What happened there, and what is
of course it's a U.S. protest. We can all tell that, right?
your reaction?
Yeah.
That's the stereotype, but it's a very accurate one. Only in America can you protest flying a whole bunch of other countries' flags while protesting to stay in the country. You know, sometimes people around here, we have to find problems because there's not enough of them to go around.
My reaction is the same as been from day one. That, you know, people are welcome to protest. They have their First Amendment rights, but they can't cross that line. They can't impede us from doing our job. That's a fact.
You have to look inside the First Amendment. It's freedom of speech, assembly, religion, and also rocks.
Yeah,
You got her.
Of course, rocks. You can't forget those. Yeah, freedom of rocks. My speech, though. Freedom of shooting ICE officers, too, apparently. Yeah, that's okay. Fucking idiots, man.
Remember that
You
one.
can't put hands on an agent. That's a felony. So what happened in California is just another example of protesters becoming criminals. And they've been emboldened by even members of Congress who compare ICE to Nazis and racists and terrorists. I mean, the rhetoric.
I said that earlier, man. Like, if these were Nazis, it'd be much worse. But if you go to 99% of America, you know what I mean? Like, it's less than 1% where you might find these people that are, like, actual, like, skinheads and Nazis and racists. But the rest of us are out here just fucking living. You know, bills come every month, and they don't stop coming.
Is so high, and I said 2 months ago, it's going to end up with a loss of life, and we had one the other day in Texas, and it's not over.
That's awful. I actually didn't know a person died, so that sucks, man. I hope your family's doing okay. Obviously, I can't talk to that guy, you know what I mean, but yeah, it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time.
I mean, the rhetoric has to end. ICE agents are simply enforcing the law.
It's not the rhetoric. That's the thing is, like, I don't.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the rhetoric. Yeah, it's not the words out here killing people. It's the actions. The actions have to end. These people have to be punished. Like, only in a place like California or Washington with our Chaz or Oregon when they're attacking those buildings during the BLM riots and stuff like that, you know, where they're literally trying to harm people every day. Only in these states do people not get charged by the DA. You know? Like, it's just wild. It's unbelievable. It's unsustainable. You know, we have to have a society with laws where people while out. It's just what they do.
Also, if you want the rhetoric to end, then you have to arrest the people that are saying the things that are the rhetoric. Like, I think that there's nothing wrong with saying that you hate.
That's a good point. God, he always makes a point that I miss. Like, I think I'm like, oh, look at me, I'm so smart over here. And then this guy will be like, yeah, I'm 100% smarter than you, though. You're an idiot.
ICE and you think that they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. But when you're calling for shooting them, attacking them, and especially, like, I mean, you guys can't even get the people that are throwing rocks under control.
Well, it's because they don't even arrest or charge the people that are throwing the rocks. Like, even if... Whoa, excuse me there. Even if these protesters here throw a rock, they're caught on camera without a mask, and it hits an ICE agent, even if they're arrested, they're let out in California. No charges are brought against them. Which leads the cops to be like, well, why the fuck should we even arrest them? It's just like the theft in California where certain companies are pulling out of, like, certain areas of California altogether. It's like, well, why is that happening? It's like, well, the cops can't show up unless they steal over $1,000 of goods. Who the fuck thought that was a good idea? That dude could stop at $999.87, and then the cop's like, oh, well, shit, that's all I got. Because if I arrest him, he's just going to be let out on, you know, by the DA. They just won't charge it. It's, for lack of a better word, man, it's retarded.
Like, how are you even worried about that? How are you worried about internet commenters if you can't arrest?
Exactly. The internet commenters are not the problem here. It's the people that actually take that shit and go into the real world and then actually do stuff.
It's the guy that's standing in front of your truck throwing rocks. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? It's crazy. It's a slippery slope. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not a slippery slope to say that.
I was saying it at the same time because I forgot to pause, but It's not a slippery slope to say that people should be held accountable for their actions. That is a absolutely wild take. I would agree with a lot of things being a slippery slope, but people being held accountable for breaking the law, that's not a slippery slope. If they want to protest on the edge and just let their discontent be known, and you know they can have their megaphones, have their speeches and everything, that is fine. That's fine. But this isn't what they're doing.
If you're assaulting a police officer, you should go to jail or be shot. That's not a slippery slope. That's common sense.
I don't even think it has to be common sense. You know, like that's not even. Bro, you can obey all the rules in your job and all the rules in society, and not have a lick of common sense, right? Common sense is when you just do what you should do because your intuition tells you, like, hey, this isn't stupid, right? This is the right way to do stuff. But obeying a rule book is a little different than common sense. Book smart versus street smarts, let's put it that way. You know? Like, people that are book smart, sometimes they don't have common sense at all. They're idiots, right? But they'll remember every fucking rule at their job, hands down.
There's no slippery slope here at all. He's talking about the politicians. Oh, well, that's...
Just a Congress enacted.
Sometimes, man. I mean, for real, fuck them. Like, I hate seeing these politicians sometimes. They're all, like, argumentative on the stage, and then the second the show's over, right? They're like best friends going to a strip club together. Yeah, that's how it is. It might not be all of them, but it's a good proportion of them.
They wrote, they created, and was signed by the president. If people want to complain about the job ICE is doing, go complain to Congress, because we're enforcing the laws they enacted. We're doing our job.
Hey, Tom, can I just add, take you back? You just said you had a loss of life in Texas?
Yeah, this is what I was saying. I didn't hear about this. They might have kept it under wraps for the privacy of the family, but I'm glad that the reporter brought this up and it was like, damn, I can't believe this happened. Also, dude, what a good reporter face. I was going to say, Fox people really know how to hire him. Look at that. He even has the eyebrow thing going on. Anyway.
Yeah, you had a person attack a Border Patrol facility, firing at the facility, and border attack agents.
So he was caught up in that border facility that got shot up. That's tragic, man. Can you imagine going to your job, any other type of job, right? You go to McDonald's or whatever and get shot up, and you're just like a casualty. Yeah, fuck these people, dude.
Right. The individual that assaulted him lost life. Okay, I was just clarifying, making sure you weren't making news there that an agent had lost his life, and that is, of course, the fear. But you talk about those politicians and the rhetoric that clearly seems to be fueling much of this, but you've also got some distortion of the facts. This was a post that California Governor Gavin Newsom put up yesterday. Kids running from tear gas, crying on the phone because their mother was just taken.
This right here is bullshit. This is weaponized empathy. Like, that's what this is. It treats the victims of this like he is standing on the victims' graves, or in this case, the victims' problems, to push like this bullshit. Like, this is weaponized empathy. You can fully care for these children and still think that the laws need to be enforced. And the fact is, if the laws were being enforced, situations like this wouldn't happen to begin with, or exceptions could be made. But the fact is, millions of people got over the border. Millions of people got through the border. We have no idea where even half of them are. And they were given the option to self-deport and everything. He's like, you call him new scum. And I was like, well, that's true. You know, he is kind of scummy. Like, doing this type of shit, like standing on the graves of victims, like real victims, and using other people's victimhoods to push his own narrative. That's scummy behavior. I don't even think Trump's that great. You know, I think Trump's kind of a dick. But I think he would acknowledge he's kind of a dick. You know what I mean?
From the fields, Trump calls me new scum, but he's the real scum.
Kids are running from tear gas. Why don't you just think about...
Before he says this, I'm going to also say, who put the kids in that situation? Is it the parents? Yeah, it's the parents. Like, why can't we hold the people accountable who are accountable and stop blaming law enforcement? Like, why are you putting the accountability on law enforcement instead of on the parents that put them in that situation? It's fucking, like, that's common sense right there.
About that for a minute, Gavin. Why are the kids at the protest to begin with? Why are they at the facility that's being raided by ICE in the first place?
Well, I wonder. I fucking wonder. Oh, man. Fucking degenerate, retarded behavior.
Why are they there? Shouldn't they be in school? Isn't that interesting?
His chat's like they got a job to do, brother. That's funny as fuck.
Why the fuck are kids there? Yeah, it's crazy how these people don't see what they're saying. It's common sense, but every action has an equal and opposite reaction. If agents justifiably defend themselves and kill a protester, then you have the extremist making more people extremists, so the snowball...
He did say bozo, it's summer. Fair point. But at the same time, why would you bring your kids to a protest in which you know ICE is going to show up and the possibility of tear gas is going to show up? I'm just sitting here reading his chat. I was like, yeah, it's summer. It's summer, right? Maybe they can't afford babysitters and stuff like that. Well, if you can't afford babysitters, but you're going to show up to a protest, maybe your priorities aren't in the right space, too. Like, maybe you should be prioritizing stuff a little bit better.
Grows bigger? I don't think that's true. And also, like, to an extent it is true. But I think that you run out of extremists like that pretty fast, and then things can go back to normal.
We later find out there were 10 juveniles in that operation, that were 8 of which were unaccompanied minors. What do you say?
I see this every day, and I said from day one, when President Trump became president, that they're going to vilify the men and women.
He's not going to acknowledge it's summer? Oh. Okay, no, that's a good point. Yeah, they are on summer vacation. Okay.
They'll vilify the men and women with border children.
They're working on the illegal marijuana farm as their summer job at like 10 years old. That makes it a lot better. Okay.
That was a funnier take. Damn, this guy's been on the internet a while. But yeah, summer job, 10 years old, these bills aren't going to pay themselves. Might as well do manual labor, especially if it's hard. I don't know how hard it is. It looks hot, though. It looks really hot.
That's a good point.
During the last administration, except this time, the rhetoric's at an all-time high. Every day I get up and I read the media posts at the White House, and 90% of the stories are just fake. They're lies. So, and people say, well, the polls are kind of turning against Donald Trump a little bit on immigration. First of all, I don't believe it. If the polls turn...
One of the chatters is like, I mow lawns at 10 years old for money. What's the difference? The legality of the job that you're working, like you have to be over a certain age to work on a cannabis farm. Like, that's just the law. You can't even go into a cannabis farm unless you're over a certain age. Like, what are we talking about? It's like saying, oh, well, he's just a 10-year-old working at a liquor store. Like, if that doesn't make sense, then how does the other thing make sense?
The reason why the polls are turning is because he's not getting the results that he wants. And also, they see it's demoralizing for supporters of Donald Trump and for supporters of these immigration.
It is. It's demoralizing to see the fact that what we know needs to be done can't be done due to bullshit like this.
Raids, that the officers that are carrying them out are being bullied and attacked and are being treated as target dummies and punching bags by a bunch of, like, psychos.
Exactly. And the other thing that's demoralizing is that all this shit's happening with no repercussions. And it's probably going to happen. But right now, it's like, it's kind of sad.
That's the reason why, is that it's demoralizing. I guarantee you, if you put a few of these people, like that are throwing rocks, if you shoot a few of them...
Good one, chat, over there. The fucking selling blueberries. I appreciate good Bob's Burgers reference. He might not notice it because his eyes are closed in my pauses every time. But I saw you.
I think that the amount of support for it will go up. I don't think people understand how fed up everybody is with this degree of violence.
Unbelievably so. I agree with that. Most rational people are upset by this.
It's all emotional manipulation. It is. Yeah, the rock stop. Yeah, and also the rock stop too.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Life gets better.
Why? I bet in Florida you probably don't have as many protesters throwing rocks at the police officers.
I would guarantee. So I'm in Washington. That's where I live right now. But I grew up in Louisiana. Trust me. If you did this to a Louisiana officer or a Mississippi officer or any of that area, definitely a Texas officer, you are getting fucked. You're getting fucked up. And there's no better way to say it, man. You are being fucked up. Like, you're gone.
I wonder why this is happening in California all the time and not Florida. Oh, wait a minute. We know exactly why.
Because all the fake news out there, they're lying about what the President Trump is doing. They're lying about what the men and women of ICE are doing.
It's because they'd be dead. The entire idea that, like...
100% true. Like, 100% true, dude. As I said, they'd be fucked up. Yeah, that Florida sheriff guy that's always talking on video and stuff like that, man. He's just like, yeah, if you do that to us, we'll send a gift basket to your family because you'll be in the ground. And I was like, damn. Fucking damn, dude. What are you going to do against that, bro? And he's not wrong. Like, in those states, right? They take law very seriously and they will fuck you up.
You can't reason with extremists is not true. You can easily reason with extremists. You just have to use a language that they understand.
And that kind of turns, the tide against us a little bit, but that's why, members of the administration are out there every day setting the facts straight. The fact is, I read the paper the other day, the majority of people who arrest are not criminals. Wrong. Look at the data.
100% of the people that are arrested are criminals. Now, the only difference is the extent of the criminal behavior. Yeah, they committed that first crime, and now it's just a matter of if they've done more.
Go to ICE.gov and look at data, but we got some media saying, well, it's just a misdemeanor, it's not a felony, not really criminal. Oh, they're not convicted, they're just charged. Oh, they're not criminals. No, we're prioritizing public safety threats and national security threats, and that's a fact.
But Tom, it strikes me unbelievable that the Democrats are not on board. When you look at this raid, there were 10 juveniles that were illegally brought across the border. You and I covered this under the Biden administration. I was down in Texas where we encountered 8, 10-year-old, 12-year-olds coming across with just a name and an address and a phone number on their necks, the cartel ruthlessly sending them across. And yet now we know that 10 of them, 8 of which were unaccompanied minors working illegally in a marijuana.
I talked about this earlier with a client of mine. She's a wonderful lady called Pam. Absolutely wonderful. I love working on her. So I do lawn care and stuff as an everyday job. Absolutely fantastic lady. If you're ever watching this, Pam, I got you. But I was talking about this, and I was like, people underplay the amount of violence that happens when these coyotes are trafficking these people across the border, for lack of a better word. Like the amount of assaults that happen, the amount of people that don't make it because they're crossing a desert. All these things, they don't take them into account, and an unbelievable level of violence happens for these people crossing the border, and they're coming here in desperation for a better life, for a better future, and the exploitation that goes along with that is unbelievable. And that's not including like prostitution, trafficking, and stuff like that. It's, if you look at the border and statistics and how many people who cross haven't been sexually assaulted, or I mean have, the numbers are staggeringly high, like unbelievably high.
Farm, and your agents go in, and
it's just crazy that people would go and defend, illegal aliens, bringing over children to make them work in some sort of fucking field, and this is somehow worth protesting against.
Yep, that's the world we live in, man. That's the fucking world we live in. There have been a time where both sides would have shook it, and it's not even that long ago, where both sides would have looked at this issue and been like, yeah. In fact, when I was growing up, this would have been a Democrat and Republican issue. Like, they passed so many bills in the 90s and early 2000s where it was like 100%, there might have been like 5 people who on the outside like, no, I don't think it's that bad, and now it's like a 50-50 split right down the middle, and it makes no fucking sense.
It's crazy.
Rescue them essentially, and yet
I got you there, Chatter. Yeah, punish the employers. Exactly, do that too.
There is
and if that thing is actually, if that farms were owned by a cop, drive that cop into the ground. Legally speaking, right? Legally speaking, I meant prosecute him to the fullest extent that our law will offer, and then keep charging him until there's nothing left.
Resistance to that, does that upset you?
Yeah, I bet it does.
It certainly upsets me, and like I said, the work men and women of ICE are doing is incredible. Look, we're looking for over 300,000 missing children. We've already found 10,000. Have you heard?
Yeah, I didn't bring that up in my other thing, but yeah, during the Biden administration, when they were shipping people over the country to sanctuary cities and the like, from ICE detention facilities on the border, like, I didn't realize it was that many children, because when I last looked at it, it was like over 10,000 missing kids. And I'm like, well, where are these kids? They have no fucking idea where these kids are. And I was like, that is heartbreaking and awful.
Heard that anywhere? No, the media is simply not covering it. And look, this should be a nonpartisan issue. Arresting public safety threats and national security threats, everybody be on the same page on that. Rescuing children, I mean, it should be a nonpartisan issue. Everybody should be in lockstep on that, but they're not. The media's lying. The Democrats they don't want President Trump to be successful. I got news for them. We are being successful.
Should children be deported? Yeah, of course.
Yes, they should. And I mean that with full empathy, We have to have laws. And if you make an exception for someone, then what that leads to is a crack in the wall of law, which leads to further exceptions. And what that leads to is criminal elements taking advantage of the situation. And that's just reality, And it's like that for every country on the planet. Every country on the planet has, we all have our laws, and we have to have them,
Yeah, without a question. I mean, if they were born here,
if they're born here, I have actually a little bit more sympathy. If the children are born here and the parents getting deported, I don't know. At that point, I'm unsure about what the right course is. It's a little bit more nuanced, because they are culturally American. So if we send them back to somewhere else, they will be ostracized there as well. But at the same time, their parent should be punished in some way. And just like with any other crime, you'd be taken away from your kids if you committed it. So I'm really on the fence here. It's really hard, because it actually does hit me in the feelings a little bit, in a way that I can't just ignore.
I don't agree with retroactively removing birthright citizenship. So if they were born here, then
I agree. I don't think it should be retroactively applied. I just think it shouldn't be used from here on out, because you know, they call them tourists babies for a reason. Yeah, and a lot of people do it. They'll fly here from their country, especially if they have money. They'll give birth here in an American hospital, and then they use that birth to become American citizens while bypassing the entire immigration process, which is ridiculous, you know?
Like it's a problem, but I think that if they came here as like kids, then yeah, absolutely they should be
Agreed.
removed.
Every illegal alien public safety threat we arrest makes this country safer. Every national security threat we take off the street and deport makes us safer. And we're rescuing thousands of children. The lives saved every day by ICE, the lives saved every day by Border Patrol, are in the hundreds. So it's the only thing I can think of, Griff, if they hate President Trump more than they love their community. They hate President Trump more than they want, safe communities. There's just no other excuse why this is not, why this has become a partisan issue to take public safety threats off the street.
Why? That's messed up. Where do they go? I completely disagree. That's not our problem. It's not our problem. Like we are not the inheritors of the problems of other countries.
Yeah, I think a lot of Americans mimic this mentality here. We are so tired of taking care of the world's problems when we have our own problems. It's like, why do we have to help you with your problems when we have problems? We give billions and billions of dollars globally to help with other people's problems, and I'm sure there's a lot of arguments for that. It's like, well, it gives us power, it gives us sway over other countries, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, that doesn't really matter to me in my book, because it's still us having to deal with our problems while helping the world with their problems.
Somebody sends a kid over here. They were obviously accompanied by somebody. Figure out what that was and then send them back. This isn't our problem. I mean, we have, like, you understand that, like, this, it sounds good to care about this kind of stuff, but we have, like, thousands, if not...
Yeah, it sounds great to care about that. It's an emotional, feel-good caring, but logically makes no sense. Like, if we're just rationally speaking, a lot of these policies that are feel-good policies don't make sense. Because if you take it with any other example, like from any other point of, like, perspective of, like, a different situation, like a parody of a situation, right? Like, so the same thing, but in a different way. It stops making sense. It just stops making sense.
Tens of thousands of kids that are in foster care homes now. Here, we have...
Exactly. We have our own problems.
Have kids that are orphans here now. Like, we don't need to...
And people like to be like, oh, well, that's just a burden we have as a rich country. You know what, man? Like, we shouldn't... Just because you have money doesn't mean that you should be forced to give that money away to help other people in their problems, because it makes a dependency on us that we shouldn't have. We shouldn't have a dependency on us.
Import more of these and have more of this as well. Like, really, like, we're already overwhelmed with the amount of these that are happening.
Yeah, and that's a problem with our system. You know, we don't have enough workers to handle the cases we have now, so some of these people end up in terrible foster situations for years because, well, A, it's way too hard to adopt. I'll just say that. It's way too hard to adopt. Like, perfectly good parents that are able to adopt and could actually afford children aren't being allowed to because of, oh, they live in an apartment, or, you know, they live in the wrong city or something like that. Like, those things really dampen the system, and then on top of it, they just don't have enough people to process cases or look into everybody accurately. So it's like one messed up piece of paperwork can stop people from adopting. And I only know that because my grandpa, like, took in a lot of children over the years to make sure that he would focus on, like, troubled teens and stuff like that, and he would try to give them the best possible life he could while they were there. And they even adopted like 5 or 6 people, like, over the course of their lives. You know, my grandpa's like 90 now, so it's something that I saw the impact of growing up. But the reason he was able to do it was through some Christian program, but that doesn't help people that aren't Christian, you know. And I think as long as you could provide a stable life, let's not get into that.
That are already U.S. citizens. We can't even keep our own shit together. The last thing that we need to do is be dealing with the world's problems.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like this. This is crazy. There's thousands. Yeah, exactly. It's full.
I run out of time, Tom. I've got to get your reaction to this Biden-appointed federal judge out in Los Angeles, apparently expected today.
Well, I call it there. I don't imagine there'll be something crazy at the end for me to react to. You know, if somehow you're new to the internet and you've never heard of Asmondgold, this is him. So, if you're one of those like 5 people who haven't subscribed to Asmondgold, I encourage you to do so. And thanks for joining me while I react to this content. This was unexpected. I didn't know what I was going to see in this video. I suspected, but it ended up being something a little bit different. Anyway, I will see you next time.